Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 2 of our Flesh and Blood podcast. We are the Heralds of Wraith. My name is Sam. I'm joined once again by Liam.
Hello!
Hey, Liam, and how are we doing? What are we going to be talking about today?
So today we are talking about our recent trip to Manascrew in Northampton to take part in our first ever Road to Nationals event. Going in quite dry, as we mentioned in episode 1, only having 1 or 2 games under our belt before we went to it. It was an experience. It was good fun, but yeah. So we spent Sunday doing about a 5-hour round trip with one of our fellow metamates, Chris, who was our driver for the day.
Yep.
And we went and played some Flesh and Blood. I literally did play Blood as well, which we'll cover later on.
You did, literally, yeah. So let's jump in first then with the store in Manascrew, as you mentioned. What were your impressions on the place when we arrived?
We walked straight past it to start with.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
We were following Google Maps. So it was a bit nondescript from the outside, but rang the doorbell, came in, and at that point it was really, really good. Really welcoming, made to feel like a local. The owner, whose name I can't remember,
I'm gonna quickly Google it because I was trying to remember. I am very sorry that I forgot that, because he was an amazing guy, very welcoming, like you say.
So we got the whistle stop tour, the background of the store, showing where everything was. We got a little care package when we arrived, which was really nice and well thought out. So we got a free first edition Monarch booster, and then we got another 3 at the end of round 6. And then we got a couple of vouchers for free drink, free snack, free sweets.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Which was really nice, which kind of powered us through later on during the day.
Yeah. Mark Horn was the owner's name.
A big shout out to Mark. It was a cracking venue. Really friendly, down to earth, and would definitely go back there again. Yeah,
it was a great store once you're inside, and yeah, that intro was really fantastic. Got some video of it, so we'll probably put some bits of that up on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a break before we started. We headed off early doors from Bristol.
Yeah,
quite nice getting able to get some free parking just around the corner. Yeah. So sat down, had a break, caught up with some old friends from Keyforge and L5R, which was quite nice to see that crossover.
Yeah, definitely.
And then during registration, managed to smash my head on some low-hanging ceiling, which ended up setting the pace for the rest of the day.
Oh, that was so silly. You were too excited to see Chainmail Scott, though, so you didn't even realise at the time, really, did you?
I didn't realise, going around the back of some tables, and I smashed my head. So it looked like there were some stairs. It was a bit like triangle downhang from the ceiling, and I smashed my head clean on the corner of it. But then not having a because I had my baseball cap on the entire day, I didn't realise until I got home, jumped in the shower, and was like, oh, there's blood. Oh, look, I split my head open. That would explain everything that happened during the day. Yeah,
definitely would have been an impact on that. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, so great store. We had a nice good briefing. It was a bit congested in there because there was quite a few people. There were, I think, 34 people started the day. There were a couple of big screens on with the messages throughout the day when they did the player briefing. They also had Jack there, who I believe was one of the London Legion guys who used to play L5R, that we would have met in some of the Kotais, which was quite nice. He did a cracking job throughout the day. Helped me with a few idiotic questions that I had, which helped up during the games.
It was fantastic walking around, just catching any kind of missed triggers that I or my opponent may have had, or just asking questions just to check that the game states were all currently legal and everything. It was fantastic.
And we actually had a proper timer as well.
Yes.
So they had 2 of those big screen clocks, digital timers. So we had one with the actual time and one with the round timer. pleasant surprise from doing this, and we'll cover more when we do our thoughts on CC later on. But I didn't come close to going to time on any of my games.
No, I think my first two were kind of close, but that's because they were very tight games, and we kind of got down to single-digit health, and then both kind of locked down and dragged the game out for about 10, 15 minutes longer than it should have been.
Yeah. So speaking of performances in your game, so how did you do on the day then, Sam?
So I think I said last time, before going in, my aim was to learn about my deck, learn about the game, learn what other cards do and how I should be playing the game, and I wouldn't be too bothered about my results. It's a good job I went in with that mindset. I'll go through a quick overbrief of each game. We won't go into details, but so game one, I played against Vlad, and he was playing Chain, and so I learned a lot about what Chain does in CC in that first game. He was a great opponent. Nerves of the start of the day, I forgot to pick an item out of my deck for Dash's ability, and just before we started the first turn, he let me just go ahead and do that reshuffle, and that was all sorted. So yeah, great sportsmanship right from the start of the day, which carried on throughout the whole day. Yeah, I had 2 turns in that game where I missed a Mechanologist card on the boost, so that just stalled my entire turn, and it was the first attack of the turn. So that didn't help, and a few misplays. Game 2, I believe, was against Reinar. Again, very gracious opponent. Talked me through everything, told me what the cards were doing very clearly, so there was no like, I'm attacking you, and then I defend, and he goes, oh, and it's got go again, and here's another. Didn't like try and trap me with any of that stuff. They told me everything that was going on. Even pointed out potential triggers they had on the board. So like, I'm going to do this and this. It doesn't have go again, but I have this item that could give me it on the board. So that was great. Another one that was quite close in the end. In fact, this time it was my opponent who missed on his kind of random effect. He missed a couple of 6 power discards that kind of just stalled his turn and allowed me a chance to get back in. But in the end, the Intimidate took the blue cards out of my hand, so I couldn't play my Unmovable to survive and then shoot him back the next turn. After that, the day becomes a little bit of a bottom table blur, getting tired by that point. I played against 2 Katsus. The ninja guy's name is Katsu, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And first one again, another great game, and I actually ended up losing due to fatiguing out, ran out of cards. We both got to a point where we were just pitching to use our weapons, and then because I had 2 induction chambers out, so I was just pitching 2 cards to shoot him 3 times a turn essentially, and then defend with the other 2. We both kind of got into that chain of play, but I'd already boosted a third of my deck away, so I decked out well before him and just ran out of cards, and he got to stab me to death. And then game 4, I played against Chris, our driver, our local meta buddy, and it was going all right. And then I misplayed mid-game, and he managed to get a full combo chain off with Lord of Wind, which is a funny sounding card name to me. I just think he's like a massive farter or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, he managed to get that full chain off, get the Lord of Wind off, and just did so much damage to me in that one turn that I couldn't trade back at the same rate. And then round 5, I played against Fizrai, and it was just a million rune chant tokens every turn. It was literally like one turn he popped 10 rune chants on me and hit me for 10. And I'm like, right, okay, I'll take that hit, but hopefully that's it. And then I can play my game and get back on top and make him defend lots. It turns out his deck could just generate 8 to 10 rune chants pretty much every turn. It felt like, I don't know if that's accurate or even possible, but it felt like every turn he had 5+ rune chants blowing up in my face. So I lost that one in the end. It wasn't too close, that one. And then I got the bye for the last round, which I was actually super glad of. I was tired. I was worn out from thinking all day. and it was nice just to have that bit of time to walk around the room, take in some of the atmosphere, and just relax. Basically, reflect on some of my games, think of some of the things I've done wrong, some of the things I should have done better. So I went 0-5, and then got the bye for the last round to give me a win because they felt sorry for me. It was great to, I may be jumping the gun a bit on what we got planned later, but it was great to just learn the flow of a CC game.
Yeah, because it is completely different from Blitz.
Oh yeah, massively. And it's not even like, oh, one person's got the momentum and they're defending, the other guy's defending all the time, and then that guy takes a big hit in the face to come back with a big turn, and then the momentum flips, and then that stays, and then that guy wins or something. It is just a constant like ebb and flow, and it can snowball. But I even found the games where it snowballed early, I was able to bring something back at some point at least, and wrest some momentum back, even if I didn't win any of those games with some better deck choices. I could have maybe come back, and it just it feels like it's not a long game, but it definitely feels like a long enough game that you have options, and things you can do throughout the game, and you learn what your opponent's doing and how to counter that. But as I said, I'm getting ahead of myself. So Liam, how did you get on? Let's go through your day.
So I went 2-4 in the end.
Yeah.
Which can be best laid in a 2-part saga, where I went 2-0 and then crashed heavily and splintered into a million pieces. So my first round was against a guy called David. I think he might have been one of the Northampton locals, and he was running Bravo.
Yeah.
So going into the day, I knew a couple of the matchups and what I wanted to do. I'd been sat watching a few YouTube videos, trying to understand a bit more, and they've been quite nice to have on in the background whilst I'm stuck working from home. But my priority for the day was to just play, understand what's going on a bit more. No expectation like yourself. Go in 0-6.
Yeah.
But just learn more, and then come out knowing that I knew my deck and how it played, and play that as best as I could, and then everything else was just a bonus.
Yeah.
So I knew the Bravo matchup, what I should do. So I ran Luminaris in my list, but I also ran the Orbs as well.
Yeah.
And Bravo being one of the few that I know, that's got a lot of 6+ attacks. So I pulled all of the Luminaris aggro stuff out of the deck, and I just kept in the Auras and Orbs.
Yeah.
Learned a new one because I didn't realise until the beginning of the day, when I actually read the Orb card properly, that those spectral shields, that when they attack, go again. I was like, oh, okay, this makes a huge difference. So I set up Prism. He went, oh, and I was like, oh, don't worry, I don't really know what I'm doing in the game. And then I flipped over Orbs, and it was an O. And then I drew my first hand. I managed to win the dice roll, make him go first, let him do some setup, and then I dropped Genesis.
Yeah.
So I'm then getting 3 spectral shields, pulled a Halo, did the Halo of Illumination to get more stuff on there, and for the first few turns I was just pitching resources and just dumping out spectral shields left, right and centre. Got quite lucky because he popped the Genesis, and then straight away I went, okay, cool, I'll play Genesis. And then just pummel down the health, at which point I ran out of shields when he was about 9 health, and I was at 40 still. Oh. And then in the space of about 10 minutes, I went from 40 health to about 12.
Yeah.
And I was just running out of stuff, and then managed to have the key moment for that where it swung back round. I had I played a Prismatic Shields at the end of one of his turns. My turn, I drew into Prismatic Shield, which went into Arsenal, and then when he went to attack, I drew back into Merciful Retribution and a load of blues.
Yeah.
So he came in at me for like 5, and at which point I had to ask a question about in terms of instances and stuff at the learning point. And he was really good because he was. I missed a couple of small bits which he helped remind me of. it was really nice and really friendly. But then I managed to. He did his attack reactions. He didn't do any attack reactions, so I then played Prismatic Shield for 6 shields, and he went, "Okay, cool. Attack reaction. I'll bump it by 2." And at which point I went, "Okay, cool. I'll drop another bunch of resources. There's Merciful Retribution. You're going to take 6."
Yeah.
And at that point was enough to swing it that I can just keep pumping some big attacks through.
Nice.
So I won that game, and I'd already instantly gone above my expectations. The headache started to kick in from my wonderful escapades during registration.
Yeah.
Then game 2, I came up against a guy called Hamish running Katsu. And that one, I just switched to my aggro one. From talking about, I think I played that one as best as I could, having known the deck and what it does. I avoided blocking the small Kodachi for 1, please.
Yeah.
Ignoring those and blocking the big ones, and then just going all out. My Heralds of Triumph came out at the right times when I needed to. Because I think he only had 3 Command and Conquers.
Okay.
To pop those, and my Triumphs came out at the right times. But nearly threw that one away when I elected not to block, and I got introduced to was it Razor Reflexes?
Yes.
Which pumped it and left me on one health, and we were 1 health each. But then I had a handful of stuff, and I just went to town and pulled that through. So managed to aggro my way through that one.
Nice.
And then we had a nice little lunch break, and then round 3 is when it kind of went rapidly downhill. So I played Vlad, that you played in round 1.
Yeah.
I knew of Chain, but I didn't know how horrible he was. And at this point, I was the first 2 games were good because it was a bit quieter, and I was on like a table edge.
Yeah.
And so the headache was getting worse and worse at the time. And of course, not knowing that I'd split my head open like a moron, sat in the middle of 2 other games either side of me.
Yeah.
And the 2 guys either side were some of the loudest people I've seen, which make you sound quiet.
I was going to say,
they were screaming in my ears. I couldn't understand what was going on because at one point there was like 12 cards in play, so you had this monster turn, and I couldn't follow.
Yeah, it's so hard to follow.
Hear him, and the headache got worse, and I just ended up having my first ever full-on panic attack. And I was just like, "Just tell me what you want to hit me with. I'm not blocking. I just need to die. I got to get out of this room."
Yeah.
But then going back to Manascrew guys, they saw that something wasn't quite right with me when I kind of bolted out of the room, and came over, made sure I was okay. Offered me some drinks, which I didn't need because I had some, but then offered to put me down near the bottom tables because I had a few dropouts, which made it a bit better. But
yeah,
mentally I really didn't recover from that point. I wasn't really on it. Still shook for quite a while. And Vlad was really nice. Vlad came over afterwards just to check throughout the day to make sure I was okay. So yeah, and unfortunately that kind of set the tone. I wasn't really on my A game. Round 4 was the Prism Mirror match. Actually went okay, but then I didn't have anything in my deck for a mirror match, so I didn't have any Command and Conquers or anything like that.
Okay.
I went up against Mikey Bone, who was running Prism. Turning point on that one was he ran 3 copies of Command and Conquer and saw 2 of them in his first 7 cards.
Yeah.
So popped me, and I couldn't recover. But that's how it goes sometimes. So at that point, I went out with you, bought a couple of Arcane Rising packs, sat down, and Mike went, "Wouldn't it be great if you just pulled a Command and Conquer right now? Open up that booster, pull a foil Command and Conquer." So swings and roundabouts really. And then 5 and 6 was against Dorinthia, and I had absolutely no idea what to do in this matchup. I didn't even know what she did with all the attack reactions. So I played Adam, who was another one of the London guys who we used to play L5R with.
Yeah.
Great guy. We had a good chat throughout the game, but I learned some bits on that one. Letting Dawnblade get out of hand really doesn't help.
No,
Managed to keep it fairly close. I got Adam down to about 7 health.
Yeah.
I was doing a mixture towards the end of blocking and attacking. I had 3 3 cards in my soul. I had a Celestial still in hand and a War Tune Herald, blocked with the War Tune Herald to stop the damage. I had a couple of shields out, 7 health left. He had 7 health. And then I got introduced first hand to the card Rout. Which
what does that
goes, I'm going to boost this and I'm going to kick that card back to hand. And it was exactly the damage and killed me, which was, for such a nice back and forth game, was a real anti-climax to that game. But it's one of those are the sorts of situations I was going to walk blindly into, not knowing what the card pool was.
Yeah, and Dorinthia kind of just like lives off those kind of interactions, and not knowing they exist is just essentially, she's a bit of a noob killer, because if you don't know what to expect, she just gets to do her thing.
Yeah, and it was just attack reactions galore, which made it quite hard. And then final round, I can't remember a huge amount about it. I played one of the Northampton locals who had, again, Dorinthia, and by that point I was physically drained, mentally drained. The migraine was atrociously bad, and I just kind of bumbled my way through the game and got to the point at the end. It was just like, just please, just kill me. I can't do anything. I feel bad because I don't think I gave him a very good game. But yeah, I felt very helpless in those final ones. But ultimately, knew that was going to happen. I wasn't annoyed by any of the games or the losses. I think I got myself led into a false sense of security by winning my first 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, I was really chuffed with those because, you know, I knew my deck, I knew what it did, and for those 2 games, I executed it near perfectly.
Yeah.
Although against the game with Hamish, I forgot that my aggressive package didn't have Genesis in, so I had this open in hand, let Hamish go first, and then he went to do a Kodachi for 1. I went, I've got some instances here, I'm just going to do some stuff. So I ended up haloing to pitch a card, to draw a card, to then play my tome of Divinity to draw 3 cards, going to pitching through Genesis. Got a load more cards to block everything that he came out with. And then got halfway through the game and realised, oh yeah, all that stuff I did turn 1 I really didn't need to do because the card I was looking for wasn't even in the bloody deck. But yeah, on those blocks with that, when you're getting hit by Lord of War, I didn't know what Lord of War did, but at one point there was a big turning point of the game where it was like the 4th attack and came up with the Genshi release. And I looked at it and went, you can search for any number of copies of Lords of War. I don't know what that card does, but that doesn't sound nice, so I'm going to block that all out. Which actually was a key turning point in the game, because I think if I hadn't have done that and he would have pulled those through, it would have been quite bad. But every opponent was really good, especially towards the end when I was mentally and physically exhausted and fatigued and stuff. It was a fantastic experience, and we came back at the end of it. We've done tournaments where we've been really bad and we were really disheartened, but you know, the entire way through that car journey back, despite being exhausted, we were talking about, okay, what are we going to do next? What are we going to play next? How are we going to do? Are we going to gauntlet and so on and so forth? So it's a really good state of not only the game, but the pair of us as players, and also as well as the community, because I didn't see a single person there that was a dick.
No, I didn't see or experience any either. Everybody was really nice. Definitely took even though it's Road to Nationals and there is, you know, Nationals is invite only and there's Nationals invites on the line, even despite that, everybody still took the fact that Road to Nationals is still technically a casual level event for rules enforcement. Everybody really lived by that philosophy of it being a casual level rules enforcement. And everything I saw was very sporting, and you know, people reminding each other of stuff, allowing take backs and things like that. So yeah, just great, because there was a little bit of me that was concerned we'd turn up and it would be cutthroat. Oh no, you missed that window by half a second. No, you can't do it. But I didn't experience any of that. Maybe that is just bottom table experience, but looking around the room, I didn't hear or see anything really of that level.
Yeah, so it's good. So with that in mind, and our somewhat brief-ish overview of how we did, what did you take away from the day? What were some of your lessons that you learned?
My biggest lesson was don't mess around with your deck the night before a tournament.
So how many versions of your list did you email me to print out? I think I lost track of 4.
4, yeah. I lost track. I wasn't counting, mate. I was just sending you lists. And I was like, oh no, this card. Oh no, this one. Oh no. Yeah. So in Blitz, I've played a lot of just flat out boost aggro dash. And I had no idea if that would work in CC, but my initial plan was to just build what I know, do what I know, and it would either work or it didn't. And then one of the locals, Mark, decided to send us a link to a video on like the Saturday afternoon. So when I got home from work, I watched the video, and it was I can't remember. Is it Matt from New Zealand?
Yeah, that was the Road to Nationals winning list, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he kind of went through a deck tech of 2 dash lists. And I'm mostly an aggro player in card games, and these 2 decks were a mid-range and a control deck. And having not played either of those archetypes for quite a long time, I decided to try and build them because I like the Minnowism Belittle combo. Sounded great. And the using the pistol all the time, I mean, I wouldn't deck myself out, sounded great. So I built the deck. And then I realized I didn't have Snag or Chains of Eminence. Those are 2 cards that I haven't been lucky enough to pull. And I was like, oh, but I'm not expecting to win anyway, so I'll take my list. I wrote my 53 main cards, which were mostly blues and yellows to trigger Belittle and Minnowism. And I had 3 7-card packages for my sideboard. I didn't want to be thinking about each matchup, and I just had a defense reaction package where I just had 7 defense reactions that I put in. They weren't the optimal ones because, again, I don't have all of that. Like, for example, I only own 1 red unmovable, and so I had to supplement that with 2 yellows, which obviously isn't optimal. And then I had a kind of mid-level boost package with some more yellows, so I didn't mess with my economy too much. And I had a full aggro boost package, which was just all red boost cards to put in. And I just kind of swapped throughout those throughout the day as I needed. And I was too cautious early in the day. I decided to go with the defense reaction package in my first 2 games because I wasn't sure what I was doing. I wanted to buy myself a bit of time to learn what was going on. And actually that ended up shooting me in the foot because I missed my my boost triggers a couple of times because I hit those defense reactions. And I didn't play them optimally because I've not played with them before. So obviously, I don't use them in. I say obviously, I don't know if it's obvious, but I don't use them in Blitz because I go all out aggro in Blitz. So I didn't have any kind of prior knowledge of best times, tactics with the defense reactions and stuff. So yeah, my biggest lesson learned is do not mess around with your deck list 12 hours before the event starts, and just have your plan, stick to it, and maybe play the game for longer than 3 weeks before your first big event. But I wouldn't change going to the event. I just changing my list. That's my biggest lesson. I think some other lessons I just learned a lot of basics that I won't go through because I expect the vast majority of people listening to just be like, well, yeah, obviously you idiot. But just like timing things, best way to order your turn out. I get 3/4 of the way through a big turn and I'm like, oh, I should have done that card before that card and then that card. I nearly won one of my games against Katsu because my opponent played his Command and Conquer before using his Kodachi, forgetting that he didn't have any way to give Command and Conquer go again. Just little things like that you can think about all you like, but once you sit down and start playing cards and you're on the verge of winning, and he just got too excited that he had the win in his hand, he thought, and he just played the card in the wrong order, and it was long gone by the time I'd let him give it back if he just put it down or whatever. But he was like, had done other things, and he was like, oh, I don't have go again, crap. Yeah, it was just lots of little things like that, and how to play out a game of CC, how the ebb and flow of a game of CC is. And how fast CC games can be. What about you, Liam? What were the main things main lessons you took away from the day?
I took 3 main things away from that. I mean, aside from those lessons learned, I think for us having a bit of a practice beforehand, I think what didn't help was that our Thursday evening down our gaming store was a blitz night.
Yeah,
we were
2
playing
days before.
blitz 3 nights beforehand, which kind of threw out a bit of practice. So we were kind of going in pretty rusty. But for me, understanding more about priority. So priority is huge within this game, and especially as a prison player who plays a lot of it, who has the ability to play a lot of instants during my opponent's turn, is understanding priority. And misreading the priority window nearly cost me the game in my first one. So with having played the Genesis, later on in the game, I wanted to play a third one.
Yeah.
And my opponent passed priority. I thought it was priority for the end of turn going to Arsenal. I was like, okay, cool, fine, I'll play Genesis. But not having read the board properly, it was passing priority for his seismic popping. So I then played Genesis, and he goes, okay, cool, I'll attack the Genesis. And I was like, brilliant, cool, that was wasted.
That's a good way to learn how priority
understanding
works.
that, and also making sure that you're clear with the opponents when you are passing priority before you try and rush through things. Because it does make a huge difference and does avoid any queries.
Yeah, any awkward moments and like it avoids any potential asking for takebacks and things after decisions have been made and information revealed as well. And also, I guess taking a time to go through the windows and thinking about them also gives you a moment to just think about what you're doing and make sure it is the right thing and you are doing it in the right order.
Yeah, and I had a few queries, particularly with the chain link. So I had a couple of judge queries, and the two that I had come up were when Jack came over to answer them. My opponents were really great. So it's just a case of I just want to understand for myself from a learning perspective, just to make sure that's the case. So learning that if you give Dorinthia's Dawnblades go again in the chain, even though the Dawnblade is still in the chain, it can still attack again.
Yeah.
Was one I found out the hard way.
Yeah.
But after that one, it was life tracking. So beforehand, I'd just been doing it with dice. It gets a bit hard at 40. But then also tracking the life of both players.
The both players is big, I think I learned.
Yeah, there were a couple of times where my dice didn't line up with my opponent, what they had on the notepad, and it made it a bit confusing. But when I played Adam in game 5, it was really good because at that point I started writing down, and it was just that nice bit that suddenly triggered. And you didn't really think about doing it until it happens, but after every hit, we're both confirming the total life, which actually made it really good and easier to follow on, especially as I was mentally waning at that point. So yeah, my dice are aside from floating resources are going into the sea.
I found that as well. It was great just to be like, I take 6, that takes me from 24 to 18, and then your opponent goes to 18. Okay, and just then everybody knows what life you're on, and then there's no in 30 seconds time, oh, you should be on 14, and you're like, if you've both said it aloud or one of you said it aloud and the other's confirmed, then you bring up any discrepancy straight away before it becomes a problem down the line.
Yeah, and on that, it was made quite nice as well by the fact that, you know, in our little care package that we got at the beginning was a little life pad and a pen, so that we had the options to use, and that made it really useful. And then the last one was just understanding the card pool, and that's from experience. So a couple of those games I was just walking in blind, and it was a case of I'm just walking through a minefield and hoping for the best. You know, so for me, not understanding route was a thing, walking into that, which cost me the game. Yeah. And then understanding what all the heroes do before going in properly. So again, I had no idea what Dorinthia did, and then learned that the hard way. But that's experience, and, you know, having only played the game a couple of weeks, I think we actually did quite well as a whole.
Yeah, and that experience is what we were there for. That was the whole aim of the day. Get out, enjoy a day away from the stresses of work and all the other stresses going on at the moment, and just play some cards, learn some cards, and just lose myself in in the world of Flesh and Blood and all the finer points of the game and the cards and everything. It was great.
Yeah, and I nearly lost my life to Flesh and Blood because got home following day, went to the doctors. Oh look, I actually got concussion. So I played the entire event having split my head open, having concussion, and then having a panic attack.
Yeah, if we both sound a bit worn out, tired, run down, or whatever, it took it out of both of us. Obviously, Liam decided to smack his head, and I've been a bit busy with work and just starting 9 days off today, so I'm definitely feeling a bit run down myself. Got a bit of post-event cold or whatever. So yeah, just feeling a little run down, a little worn out, a little slow in the old brain department, even a couple of days after.
Oh, on that note, then CC,
amazing,
yeah,
absolutely loved it.
I wholeheartedly concur. I think at the beginning we came into this thinking we're just going to stick to Blitz. It'll be quicker, it'll be easier for the evenings.
Yeah, but we've already established that we were idiots when we were coming into this because we were just gonna one hero only, not spend any money.
Yeah, we don't know anything. Pretty much.
Literally everything we said before we started, we should just forget and ignore and pretend it never happened.
Yeah, but Blitz was great as a starting point. Especially with like the Blitz pre-con decks, because you can make a small pool of cards. It will help you understand if you want to play that one for Classic Constructed. It's not as big an investment, and they're quick and easy to put together. We had some worries about going to CC just with the bigger card pool, but that was probably just misunderstanding on it. I mean, Blitz is fun, but I think we found, and we've talked before about this, that it's very aggro. And one mistake and that's game over. You know, because it's such a small health pool, and if you can't take that hit, then you lose it. CC gives you that ability where you can have turns where you just have it's all about managing that ebb and flow of, can I afford to take those big hits and then come back swinging the following turn and gain some momentum. I think probably the analogy I can give for it in my head is that Blitz just feels like that drunken bar fight when you're in the car park, just smashing the living granny out of each other.
Yeah.
Whereas CC is more of that controlled, professional fight where you are picking your moments, and then going all in.
Yeah, 100%. I felt that. And I really enjoyed that ebb and flow and that back and forth of the CC games, even when I don't understand the finer points of the game and the finer points of how to manipulate that momentum and that ebb and flow, and when's best to lock down and just protect yourself, and when is the time to come out swinging and really launch those haymakers to decide the game. Even without knowing any of that, I still had a great time and really felt that ebb and flow of the game. So I'm really looking forward to digging deep, diving right in and learning those finer points of when I should be playing this, when I should be looking out for my opponent to do that, and how I would react to those kind of things.
Yeah, and we've both dropped pretty much every other game we play now to play this.
Keyboard is literally going in the bin later today.
Yep, mine's already got in the bin. So it's been a fun experience. I've enjoyed it. I'm gutted now I can't make any more.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
To a young active child job, just can't make those weekends during the middle of the summer holidays. And which is a shame. But looking forward to future events. Hopefully, we're going to get some more running in Bristol.
Yeah.
Now that we know that CC can comfortably be running an evening, it's going to make it a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to more events, more shiny prizes, more CC games, more practice. I just can't wait to play more, which is just a massive endorsement for the game. I did not win a single game, and I came away so enthused for the game, bought some packs, and just can't wait. In fact, this morning I've been sat down going through my warrior cards, working out what I've got, what I need, how I'm going to build a Bolton deck, and in addition to my Dash deck, and I just can't get enough.
Yeah, already started looking at a second CC deck, so I'm proxying out Bravo to give him a try before I decide to spend an obscene amount of money building that deck. But I think for us as well is it's proxying some of those big decks so we can understand them, so that we can better be equipped when we come against them.
Play a gauntlet and just learn both sides of the matchup.
Yeah, and those experiences will come out in future episodes, but I think that's enough for us today.
Yeah, I think so too. I've run out of things to talk about. So.
Which is rare for us, but we'll probably be back in a week or two's time, depending on how sick of our voices people get. We'll start our meet and greet series where we help bring the locals to the world, and the first one up will be the store manager for our local store, Mr. George. The bearded beauty that he is.
Wow.
And hopefully there'll be some news and some cardboard crack adventures that we can go through. Yeah,
I'm sure I'll find some pennies under the sofa to buy some more cards to open.
You're a little booster crack addict.
I love it, mate. It's too much fun just opening packs. I just enjoy it so much. It's terrible. I got to stop.
But you won't.
Maybe episode 4 will be like Boosters Anonymous.
Episode 4, Sam starts an OnlyFans to fund his booster addiction.
I think not starting an OnlyFans would earn me more money than starting an OnlyFans. Oh well, I think let's wrap up the episode there then. So we're gonna get away now, let you to get on with the rest of your day, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. We're going to have a few video bits that we might talk over to put up on the YouTube channel from Saturday. Didn't record any gameplay, but just a bit around the store and stuff that might make a little quick 5-minute video out of. And and then keep an eye out on our Facebook page, see any updates from any of our local events and stuff, and anything we need to talk about. And see you in a week, 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, and I think we need to put an agenda item for a shorter outro. So goodbye.
Outro, definitely. See you later. Bye.